Tonight, Jimmy and JoAnne, you're going to be presenting some stunning evidence of one of the most shocking claims that we've heard, and you guys have persistently stood by this. Welcome back to the show. How are you tonight?
Great.
Good. We're doing much better. Thanks,
Glad
Jason.
to be with you, Jason. Thank you.
Last week you were recovering from an illness, so you're both looking very well. Nicely dressed. I love that outfit there, JoAnne. What is the design there? Oh, Jimmy, you look great too. But that's a really nice looking jumper or fleece that you've got, kind of an Indian design.
Yeah. American Indians. I love American Indians. So. Yeah.
Great, great. Well, tonight we're going to be talking about, when I first saw you guys presenting your story, this claim was one of the most shocking in my mind. You've spoken many times about how the two of you stood in your hotel and watched U.S. NATO Blackhawks fly over Tripoli and just open fire on civilians.
Yep.
Well, Jason, we've been validated by the U.S. intelligence agencies as all of our information being correct. And so, we have, based on what we have been given by the tribes, and all the information either we got from the tribal leaders or we gathered ourselves. And we became very confident of the information they provided us, because before we ever got it, it had always been validated 2 or 3 times. And of course, a lot of things we say are so shocking, and it's hard for people to grasp this concept that the bad guys are Washington D.C. We're the evil empire, and so we're hit constantly about that. And so 280 gigabytes of information is what JoAnne was able to secret out of Libya. And if you can imagine trying to go through all that and pick out those validating points. And so what we're doing tonight is we're bringing forward a bunch of validation of what we've said. For instance, we talked about the tribal leaders went to Algeria to buy a tanker, a ship full of gasoline for Tripoli, because the USU and NATO had embargoed gasoline from Libya, which is an absolute attack on the civilians.
Tripoli.
Yeah.
From Tripoli, yes. Yeah. And so the tribal leaders, before they went over there in a bus, 20 of them went in a bus full of money to buy and pay for a large ship full of gasoline. They bought it, paid for it. When it was coming back to Tripoli, it was attacked by special forces from England and France. They hijacked it, pirated the ship, took it to Benghazi, and delivered all the gasoline to the U.S., the CIA, and Mossad trained mercenaries. Again, this is an attack on the people. Well, we've said that, and tonight we're going to deliver proof positive that that's exactly what happened. And another video we're showing is U.S. attack helicopters flying all over Tripoli.
Yeah.
And they're scanning all Tripoli to find the key targets to, of course, kill them. And the U.S. there was never a declared war there. There was no fly zone set up within 2 or 3 days.
Tripoli was completely peaceful.
Yeah.
There was nothing going on there. These attacks were just free gratis. It's like someone flying over Houston or flying over New York and just deciding, oh, we're going to blow this up. Oh, we're going to blow that up. Oh, I think we'll blow this up. Oh, we'll kill these people.
And not only that, but the U.S. was using cluster bombs, which are precluded. They're outlawed from any kind of combat period.
This is
and the
white
cluster
phosphorus,
bombs were used
right?
in civilian areas. Sir?
White phosphorus bombs, the cluster bombs, right?
No, that's a different deal. That's a fuel air explosive. The cluster bombs are a bomb that when it explodes, it's got thousands of munitions then that go out and explode.
Right.
A fuel air explosive distributes phosphor over a large area, and then that's ignited. That's a poor man's nuclear weapon.
During this time, when they were attacking Libya, they accused the Libyan army of using cluster bombs. Libyan army didn't even have any cluster bombs, but they were using them daily. And so we came to understand that everything they accused Libya of, they were doing.
Continues to this day.
Yeah.
This is why, and there's a couple of emails that JoAnne wrote. She was really angry about one of them, and she's going to read those in our regular show. And everything she said and accused U.S. Union and NATO of doing then continues to this day.
This is a Times dated email because I wrote it while I was in Libya. I wrote a bunch of emails while I was in Libya. And there were a couple of them that are quite dramatic
Really
and outline exactly what's happening.
So it's sort of like contemporaneous, stuff you were writing while you were there, and this was all going on. That's going to be interesting for people to hear.
And there's a lot of emotion in it.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's important for people to realize, sorry to interrupt you there, Jimmy. I just want to make sure everybody knows that in 25 minutes, we're going to be starting the regular show, which is Unseen Libya with James and JoAnne Moriarty. That show is available to sponsors on patreon.com/James and JoAnne Moriarty and patreon.com/crowdsource the truth. And Jimmy and JoAnne, the holidays are coming up. I know a lot of people have to be very conscientious of how they spend their money. So this is not a matter of us putting information behind a paywall. People who don't like, this notion of us having a subscription service need to direct their feelings towards Google and YouTube and Facebook and these various digital giants that dictate what can and cannot be said on these platforms. Tomorrow, guys, is December 10th, the day that this really sort of unknown but kind of feared change to the YouTube terms of service is coming. So it's unknown what the future of Crowdsource the Truth will be with regard to YouTube, but people can still watch these shows on patreon.com. And tonight's show, Unseen Libya, is going to be simulcast on patreon.com/James and JoAnne Moriarty, patreon.com/crowdsource the truth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsource the truth. And I want to thank you two once again for creating this show with me and helping me to create this platform that hopefully can break through this really repressive censorship that's been going on. It's totally unbelievable, but not as shocking as the story that you're telling us. The thing that occurs to me when I think about this incident, because I've seen the picture of Jimmy standing inside the hotel room with the bullet hole in the glass. Who was flying these helicopters? These are servicemen and women in the United States military who, I get it that they have to take orders, but this is straight murder.
Yep.
Sure it is.
Out and out assassination.
And these are attacks on civilians. And let me tell you another sad story. U.S. is doing the same thing in Bolivia right now. The administration has decided to take over that country, and our soldiers are on the ground in Bolivia killing men, women, and children. They should never be put in that position. And us allowing our government to continue to do these things is unconscionable.
The soldiers are learning very quickly who the good and bad guys are.
Yeah.
There was an article out today, and it's been out. Came out yesterday, and I've seen it a number of times today about how the U.S. military has a higher regard and a higher understanding and respect for the Russians than they do the U.S.
Wow.
And the Pentagon is blown the Pentagon's mind. They said that's because the Kremlin is using mind control.
Yeah, mind control the U.S. Army.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's that the Army and the military guys, a lot of them are upstanding people, and they're not going to do this anymore. They're seeing the writing on the wall.
Oh, I've spoken to many
Russia's
who
got
feel
this
that
perverse
way.
system that they're. Go ahead.
Well, I've spoken to many service people who share that sentiment. I mean, I have no idea what it's like to be embedded in there, but what we really need is for some of them to, I don't know what they can do. It's like, you're inside this corrupt machine. What do you do? I'd like you guys to take notice that when obviously this is Google. Everybody's going to tell me to go to DuckDuckGo. But when you put in United States, Bolivia, look at the news that gets returned. We've got Truth Out, The Nation, Consortium News, Al Jazeera, but then when we get to the Washington Post, those top returns are talking about the United States being complicit in an illegal coup, but then we've got the Washington Post talking about a tornado in Bolivia. That doesn't seem to be relevant.
Well, Bolivia is the world supply of lithium right now, and of course China has a contract for all that lithium for the next 20 or 30 years, and so that the trade talks between U.S. and China are really focused on trying to get China to give up a lot of these rare earths and heavy earths that they control in order to release the sanctions and everything. And China said, go pound sand. So, of course, the next thing is for the corporations that need those components for their batteries and everything, they go and attack Bolivia. This is not the United States that any of us grew up understanding was our country, and that's just not legitimate. The oil in Venezuela, we took over Venezuela, or we're trying to take over Venezuela to get the oil to subordinate the Federal Reserve petrodollar. Shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
We've taken over the oil fields in Syria. For what reason? To turn it over to some corporation that's not defined. We shouldn't be doing that.
It's the U.S. fighting for corporations.
Yeah.
And they're not fighting. You have to look at why the U.S. military was even formed to protect and serve the Constitution and the people of the United States, not to protect and serve Exxon and BP and Halliburton and all these big corporations, big pharma.
It's really upsetting, and I know that viewers of Crowdsource the Truth and Unseen Libya don't approve of this. I mean, we have got to get this country back on the right track, and destroying all these other less equipped and less financially capable countries. This is just spreading hatred and creating more terrorists. I mean, there could be some little child in Bolivia whose family gets killed by some indiscriminate attack who dedicates the rest of their life to destroying the country. Why? To destroying our country, to exacting revenge. Why aren't we spreading peace around the world?
Really? Look,
Jason,
it's what's done to Syria.
We're going to cover this in the regular show, but we want everybody, all your YouTube audience, go look up the new trade agreement that was signed by Trump, USMCA or whatever the hell it's called. It's the TPP on steroids, and it puts corporations in a higher ranking than a sovereign nation, and there are 19 new corporations formed that control all the commerce in North and South America via this illegal treaty that was signed. It was called the TPP. That was thrown out. That was an Obama deal. The new one is worse than the TPP. And Kirshner and one other criminal were the main negotiators. They didn't negotiate anything. They took the Obama TPP, pumped a bunch of steroids into it, and now there are 19 corporations that control all commerce between Canada, the United States, Central America, and South America. Really.
Why is Jared Kushner having any role in government?
He
He is nobody. He has no experience.
Yeah.
Nothing.
It extends over Pacific Rim. This is an absolute criminal effect of corporations being put above countries. And, the people need to read that stuff. They need to, this is evil.
But listen, Jared Kushner is pure nepotism for Trump to put him anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's a hit on Trump. That's shame on him.
Yeah.
He should not be putting his family in places that they're not even qualified. And Jared Kushner is a Mossad agent. I mean, why are we having Mossad agents in the U.S. government?
Let's find out where the first $1.6 billion that was lost on his evil 666 building in New York, and another $3 billion that they built out of China. That was the first trip. First thing Trump did is appoint him to go to China and be a special envoy, and they got another $3 billion for his 666 building in New York.
He's a businessman. Why? I mean, he's not even a...
Well, I definitely disapprove of this character, but do we know that he's a Mossad agent? There was a weird exchange between him and Bibi Netanyahu early in the Trump presidency, but I don't know, are we sure he's a Mossad agent or he's just somehow an asset?
Netanyahu sleeps in his bedroom. When Netanyahu is in New York, he sleeps in Kirshner's bedroom. He's a great friend of the family. And, the word from inside, outside, from many intelligence agencies is he's the Mossad guy, and he's the guy they're grooming to be the new leader in Israel.
Wow. Jared Kushner?
Not a good guy.
Wow. Yeah. That's troubling. Wow. Well, we're just about 15 minutes away from our show that's going to be starting at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on patreon.com/James and JoAnne Moriarty, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. This is going to be a very important show. We're going to be talking about things that you guys saw in Libya, presenting videos, JoAnne's personal emails that are going to really help us understand her state of mind. I'm sure, JoAnne, every time you read these emails, it brings you back. There's a troubling development
Oh,
with
yeah.
Bolivia and all the, we really want Donald Trump to live up to a higher standard than somebody like Joe Biden, who's putting his son in charge of every single thing that he's not qualified for. So, yeah, people don't really like Jared Kushner. I don't know why he's able to do that.
Nobody likes Jared Kushner except his daughter.
He's
Trump's
illegitimate.
daughter.
He's absolutely illegitimate in any position in our government.
Yeah, he has no legitimacy.
No bona fides.
Why did they give him a security clearance? How did the Democrats let him?
Who knows? His father and uncle are both in prison as criminals,
It's not
as
good.
no good nicks. And then his 666 building, nobody should ever be allowed to touch anybody else's money. After he bilked $1.6 billion from the Chinese, and that building, no rebuild was ever done. The plans to tear it down, build a taller building, nothing ever happened. That $1.6 billion disappeared. It's about 60% occupied. It's losing $10 million a month, the income versus the cost.
Oh,
And
wow.
the first thing he did after Trump was president, he made him a special envoy to China. He went over there and picked up another $3 billion from Chinese investors.
Huh. I don't know that
The name
much.
of the building should be enough.
I don't know that much about this building. I've walked past it. Here's an odd bit of news. Apparently, Marvel Comics' new headquarters is connected to Donald Trump, DC Comics, and Satan. Last week, Bleeding Cool, which is this comic book news site, told you that Marvel Comics was packing up their New York City offices and moving east to a new New York City location. The office is at 1296th Avenue. Is inside a building co-owned by the Trump Organization. Well, maybe this is not what I thought it was. Oh no, here we go. Former home of DC Comics, 666 Fifth Avenue. It's currently owned by Kushner.
Yeah.
Well, something's happening with Marvel Comics. It looks like it's notable for being obviously cursed. That's interesting. Wait a minute, is that Jared Kushner? Oh, that's a meme of him from, something from...
That's Jared. Yeah, that's him with the...
I mean, this isn't exactly a news site. This is kind of a joke news about comic book site, but we'd have to dig into this. It looks like perhaps Marvel Comics is moving to a building owned by Trump or Kushner. Marvel Comics, of course, is owned by Disney, so people can draw their own opinions about that. But we're just about to head over to Patreon for the show. Anything you guys want to say before we head over there? We should remind people to visit LibyanWarTheTruth.com. That's the place where you can order Jimmy and JoAnne's DVD, Escape from Al-Qaeda. The DVD is only $15, and if you sponsor Jimmy and JoAnne on Patreon, you're going to get free shipping on that DVD. It makes an excellent Christmas gift. It's a good stocking stuffer for people who are awake and aware of what's going on in the world, and for people who aren't. You could give them this, throw a glass of cold water on them, and tell them to snap out of it. Jimmy, JoAnne, anything you want to say before we head over?
4.5 hours of information. DVD's well worth the money, and we're going to, again, all the naysayers that keep throwing rocks at us, saying that our comments don't have any proof behind them, we're going to be laying down a whole blanket of some more truths on the regular show.
We have 3 videos tonight, and we have a lot of other things to talk about.
Yeah, so we'll see everybody in just a couple minutes over there on Patreon. Thank you, Jimmy and JoAnne. I'm really looking forward to seeing this material. This is going to be really an important show. I think people don't want to miss this. See everybody there.